Carney shut down in Parliament. Conservatives outsmart him in brutal questioning battle. In the Canadian House of Commons marked a pivotal moment in the nation's political landscape. Conservative MPs strategically and relentlessly challenged Prime Minister Mark Carney, exposing significant weaknesses in his leadership and the Liberal government's policies. Since Carney replaced Trudeau as Liberal leader and Prime Minister following the snap federal election on April 28, 2025, his administration has faced increasing scrutiny. However, it was this week's aggressive questioning that brought his vulnerabilities into sharp focus, revealing widespread doubts about the effectiveness and integrity of his agenda. The intense exchanges highlighted the growing divide between the Liberals' promises and the realities Canadians face. Prominent Conservative figures, including Michelle Rempel-Garner, Andrew Scheer, and Michael Barrett, took center stage in holding Carney accountable. These MPs criticized the Liberals not merely for opposition's sake, but with an eye toward proposing meaningful alternatives. One of the most contentious issues was Bill C-3, legislation that the Liberal government described as a measure to enhance citizenship rights. Conservatives, however, argued that the bill was a poorly conceived package combining genuine concerns with unnecessary government overreach. Michelle Rempel-Garner was particularly vocal in denouncing the Liberals for recycling outdated and ineffective bills that lacked genuine engagement with critical issues facing Canadians today. Michelle Rempel-Garner introduced a well-crafted countermeasure in the form of Bill C-216, which sought to address child protection on the internet without sacrificing civil liberties or enabling censorship. Her bill focused on creating a safer online environment for minors by enforcing stronger platform accountability, improving reporting mechanisms for child exploitation, and adapting to modern threats like AI-generated abuse. This proactive approach showcased the Conservative Party's capacity not only to challenge, but to offer viable, thoughtful solutions, setting themselves apart from the Liberals' perceived performative politics and superficial legislative efforts. Another major flashpoint was the Liberals' controversial plan to ban gas-powered vehicles by 2035. This policy drew sharp criticism from Conservatives who questioned its true intent and the possible influence of special interests. Andrew Scheer highlighted concerns over Prime Minister Carney's financial ties to Brookfield, a company heavily invested in the electric vehicle supply chain. Conservatives accused the government of prioritizing corporate profits over genuine environmental progress. They demanded full transparency regarding Carney's potential conflicts of interest, an issue the Liberals attempted to sidestep. This evasiveness further fueled public distrust and painted the government as secretive and unaccountable. Michael Barrett, serving as Conservative ethics critic, intensified pressure on Carney during House of Commons sessions. Barrett's pointed questioning revealed Carney's discomfort and defensive posture, exposing his struggles to adequately justify the government's stance or address ethical concerns. Carney's dismissive responses to opposition inquiries, combined with his inability to effectively counter heckling from Conservative MPs, projected an image of a leader losing control of his narrative. This dynamic energized Conservative MPs and their supporters, who saw the Prime Minister's vulnerabilities as a critical opening to push their agenda. The strategic shift among Conservative MPs was evident throughout the week. Instead of focusing solely on obstruction, they demonstrated readiness to govern by offering constructive policy alternatives and clear criticisms. This approach resonated with a broad swath of Canadians frustrated with the Liberals' tendency towards symbolic gestures rather than substantive progress. The Conservatives' ability to hold the government accountable while proposing credible legislation positioned them as a serious political force capable of challenging the status quo. Adding to the government's troubles was a disturbing report about misconduct within Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC. The investigation found that 12 employees out of 13,000 engaged in serious breaches of protocol, including improper interference with immigration applications, fast-tracking cases unlawfully, and soliciting bribes for study permits. While numerically small, the misconduct raised deep concerns about systemic vulnerabilities within an immigration system already criticized for inefficiency and poor oversight. The scandal was made worse by the fact that the report was largely inaccessible to the public, hidden behind paywalls that limited Canadians' ability to grasp the full extent of these governance failures. This IRCC scandal underscored the urgent need for enhanced transparency and accountability in government operations. Conservatives seized the moment to amplify calls for reform and better management of immigration processes. They argued that the government's failure to prevent and adequately address such misconduct erodes public confidence and damages Canada's reputation as a fair and efficient immigration destination. The scandal served as a stark reminder of the consequences of bureaucratic complacency and highlighted why opposition oversight remains crucial. Throughout the week, Conservative leaders crafted a compelling narrative that contrasted their commitment to accountability and transparency with what they framed as the Liberals' evasiveness and lack of seriousness. By relentlessly challenging Carney and offering policy alternatives, they portrayed themselves as ready to take the reins and deliver results that matter to Canadians. This disciplined, focused opposition strategy helped boost Conservative credibility among voters increasingly frustrated by perceived Liberal shortcomings. With Parliament nearing its summer recess, pressure on Prime Minister Carney continues to intensify. His ability to respond effectively to tough questions, restore public trust, and demonstrate clear leadership will be decisive in shaping his government's future. Meanwhile, Conservatives are leveraging their momentum from this week's parliamentary successes to strengthen their position as a viable alternative government, highlighting the urgent need for change in Ottawa. In conclusion, this week was a defining moment for Canadian politics. Conservative MPs such as Michelle Rempel-Garner, Andrew Scheer, and Michael Barrett not only exposed weaknesses in Carney's leadership, but also demonstrated that they are prepared to govern responsibly. The intense questioning and substantive policy proposals underscored the deep challenges facing the Liberal government, particularly regarding transparency, ethical governance, and effective policymaking. The political fight is ongoing, but the Conservatives' sharpened tactics and determined opposition are reshaping the parliamentary landscape. Whether this momentum will translate into lasting political change depends on the government's willingness to adapt and Canadians' continued engagement. What is clear is that the spotlight on Carney's leadership is brighter than ever, and the demand for accountable, results-driven governance is growing louder with each passing day.